we have communities in dire need, and we have social structures that are failing to take care of our most vulnerable. But to look at the positive, to look at those desire systems, fundamentally changes. For me, it was an eye opener. How do we start to look at these positive things? Donna Haraway, I don't know, people have read some of the feminists, some of the post-humanists. She talks about the God trick. There's no room from nowhere in this room. Every perspective has a place from which it is. There's a situated knowledge. All knowledge is situated from a place. This diagram, I adapted this diagram in my dissertation, looking at how Donna looks at the world, and she critiques, on one hand, she calls it the God trick, the way that if you're doing quantitative research, it assumes a position, and that position is typically a male, white, blah, 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 looking down the world doing research as if it were detached from any subjectivity. So it's it's mediated. The world is mediated in that perspective. Staring down, it's an objective world. The knowledgeable expert is saying, wow, look at those children. They look like they didn't get breakfast. Or look at that tree. That tree is XYZ. So it assumes knowledge that comes forward and it's sort of like, duh, and behind it anybody who challenges that is necessarily bad. It's, like I said, primarily white, it's predominantly male. And what she suggests is that we need to rebel against that. So rebel against the God trick, the knowing eye, and to start to have various perspectives as opposed to that. So yeah, again, there is no view from nowhere in this room. So rejecting the idea that there is an objective position from which to do the work. You can't do a pre-post sort of research without kind of assuming a position that you can look in at what's happening. So the feminists and the post-human pressure, feminists and post-humanist thinkers, and this marriage of the two, it makes sense. Putting posthumanism and feminism together, it makes sense and it doesn't make sense at the same time. So Donna Haraway, she talks about the partial perspectives. And part of that is response to the God trick, that we don't have just one knowing person, that we have perspectives and situated knowledge. Objectivity is answerable for where we stand. We can only ever stand and perceive the world from where we perceive it. And I was at a conference once, and somebody was talking, and I looked at somebody had taken a piece of paper that said situated knowledge and put it on a chair. Wow, that's beautiful, because they're just defining the perspective in relationship to the world, and they left that behind. I thought it was cool. Sandra Harding, strong objectivity, scrutinize our own practices. Um, so it's that self-reflective piece. If you're looking out at the world, look back at yourself and how you relate to that knowledge seeking. You've probably all heard of Bell Hooks, theorist and activist out of the United States. She says these liberatory effects, these liberatory things, these theories that we build, they're not automatically liberatory. So just because we're looking at something and studying it doesn't mean that it's actually doing any good. Karen Barad, knowing the world is making itself intelligible to others. Crenshaw, Collins, so coming up to that intersectional knowledge, the ways that certain pieces relate to other pieces in that social milieu. She talks about the embodied knowledge as well. So for EXA researchers, this is not a background to the reading. So if we're looking at maybe Apollo and Steve as being part of the core reading, as being part of that canon, that if you're doing that work, this isn't just adjunct. We need to think about this. We need to be doing some reading, and we need to think about feminism. We need to think about some elements of post-humanism. We need to think about indigenous communities and the harms that have been suffered. These things are not separate from each other. And if you're doing a lit review, dare yourself to go and bring these other things into the work that you're doing. Often it's a matter of reading a couple of articles. Other times it'll be reading a whole crapload of articles or books. And if you need any resources, whether you need resources